Good morning. Hi, I'm Dr. Liz Jenkins with drlizcoaching.com and welcome. And thank you for popping in on day 28 Inside Couples Conflict, where today I was going to share a little bit of a real life example so you can understand when I'm talking about repairs and redos and some of the things that are happening underneath the surface of a couple's fight so that you'll be able to take these tips, take these strategies, and use them going forward in your relationships, in your marriage. And so it takes me back to a couple named Brian and Yolanda. All right. And they came together in kind of a usual way, all right, dating and follow a typical path of they were both dating out of college into some career job fields. And for Brian, his was a big fast track of getting into an industry where he would maybe start low but continue to move up and be able to, in his own words, was provide well for my family so that Yolanda and the children that we have don't have to worry about things. So that was the energy for him, and the energy for Yolanda was really focusing on that. And for Yolanda, she was like, okay, I want to work, I want to show up, I want to do things, but her primary mindset and goal was really creating the family that they had both dreamed forward of during the dating, the courting, the engagement and stuff. And so for her, her focus was, yes, I want to continue to provide and I want to show up, but I want to be ready and able to have a family, have children, and not be consumed with my career. For her, that really wasn't her priority. So when they got to the point where they thought they were ready, they went out and started having children or trying to have children. Their goal was to have two or three, and just kind of wing it from there. Well, they got pregnant pretty easily the first time around, and Yolanda gladly quit her job and put herself 150% into now being a stay-at-home mom and managing the family and the expenses and the day-to-day things, and really did a stellar job with that. Brian, he was doing his part in the work world, and life was smooth. They were really feeling comfortable. Then it came time where they said, let's try for a second one. We're on a roll. In Yolanda's mind, they were going to rack and stack kids so they'd be kind of all through with diapers and sleepless nights in a discrete period of time. Well, they tried and they tried. And after about 3+ years, they came to the conclusion or the decision that we got to stop trying. It's just making us more and more disappointed and frustrated. This infertility, we don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the plan for us was to have one child and focus our time and energy on him. And so that's what they did. But it got to a certain point with most kids, they go into preschool and then they go into the kindergarten. And so their son was easily transitioned into kindergarten. And Yolanda was saying, well, this is kind of timely because now I'm really bored. I do not enjoy staying home alone. Right now, staying home alone. So she was cognizant of this. She was aware of this. Staying home alone reminds me that we only have one child, and I didn't really get to do all of the things I wanted to do as far as showing up as a parent. So she networked and visited with some of her friends, and one of them said, hey, why don't you come work in my company? We have an opening, and I think you'd be the natural fit for it. She chatted with Brian. They talked it over and thought it would be a really nice thing. It was close to home. The hours could be flexible, and she would be showing up and helping sort of in an account assistant manager role, helping other companies services with their needs and what supplies and overall general satisfaction. That was going to be her role with outreach to other managers of companies that were customers. And she got into it and really loved it. She had the mindset, she had the ability, the interest, and the skill set. And she was an avid learner. And she quickly moved from being an assistant kind of quasi thing into really having her own book of business and managing very specific accounts. And the years kept going on, and she kept doing more. And there was little trips, day trips, and on sites. The sales department watched her and heard good things about her from their customers. So they started asking her to join them on their upsells or their kind of needs assessment. And so she was being borrowed and invited to all sorts of divisions and departments within her company. And it was set to, there was already the grooming and talking about that she would move um, into owning, a sales book of business, not just an account management. So the money was going to be coming in, the fun, the excitement, the thrill. Her satisfaction was okay. And guess what happens? And for some of us folks, hormones shifted, and Yolanda suddenly found herself pregnant. They found themselves pregnant with their second child, with about a 9-year, 10-year gap between the kids. They were thrilled and shocked. And the first thing was just to go back on default. And Yolanda was just going to step right on into being a full-time parent. And she couldn't understand why that was. There was this internal struggle. And Brian was reassuring her they were financially sound. She could take time off. She didn't even have to return back into her work world. All the logical things are being laid out, but the fights were escalating, and they blamed it on her age and the hormones and the work stress. But she found that she was not only getting angrier at him, but she was getting sadder as she was starting to talk to some of her accounts about what it would look like if she transitioned out and they had a new person into her role. And there was this big blow up one time, and then big blow up. And as part of my Reignite couples program, they have access to me through the WhatsApp in between sessions. And she WhatsApp me and said, I don't know what I just did, but we're in a really bad place. I just said some awful, horrible things. Brian didn't do anything really wrong, but I'm furious at him all the time. He can't do anything right for me anymore. And now I'm wondering, why are we married? I'm pregnant, an older pregnancy mom kind of thing. So her whole world was crumbling. So what do? We got him to do the timeouts, and they went back to the basics that they hadn't had to revisit in a while, but they wrote down what they thought they were fighting about. But this time, Yolanda could not get on board. She just could not get on board. And she said, so we pulled off. She and I chatted a little bit further, a little bit more, and did some deep dives. Like, what was going on? It wasn't that Brian was just going one night a week with his tournament and then one Saturday morning a month to practice with the guys and doing it. That wasn't it. And she didn't want him to shut that down. And what we started realizing is that Yolanda didn't want to give up her job. She didn't want to give up her career. She loved it. It was like a second family, and she felt so rewarded and supported. But she felt terribly guilty that she was letting Brian down, felt terribly guilty that she was letting the baby to be come and the family. And so she was carrying all of this inside, and it was coming out at Brian and picking at him for not being supportive and not showing up and being involved in the family. Well, when she got that deep awareness, then we said, okay, let's problem solve some other things. But first we need to go back and we need to help Brian understand what's going on. So what was her repair? She picked the time and she says, first of all, I want to apologize for the way I attacked you. What I realized, it's not you at all. You've done what we need to do. It is the fact that I am struggling with giving up my passion for life, which is my job, and balancing it with the family and the needs. The light bulb went on for him. He was able not to be defensive and not to feel like she was hormonal or anything like that. But he could see that, yeah, it would be really, really hard. What they were asking by having this baby was going to impact her and her general satisfaction. So after some more deep dives and some revealing and talking, and we talked about beliefs and we talked about values and how that should show up as a parent and what that looked like, they came to a very creative process. They were going to get some inside help so that she could continue. And we also did, what are some must-haves for each of you? She wanted to be able to breastfeed the baby for 6 months, and that might impact with her travels and stuff. So She approached work. She approached her accounts and said, for the first 6 months, I'm probably not going to be on site the way I was because I want to devote this time to feeding and nurturing our newborn baby. But I'm going to use Zoom. I'm going to be this. There was not a ripple. People were thrilled that she was staying. Her accounts were throwing her little mini baby showers remotely, and so it actually went from okay to even better because she was invested and was well received by her work family as well as her spouse Brian and the family. And so I want you to see that what you're fighting about may not be what you're really fighting about. And if it continues to happen and you're stuck and embroiled, we need you to step back, just interrupt, take the break, do some writing, journal it out, see what's going on, talk to yourself, play it out. Because as we started that dialogue with Yolanda and I, it was very clear that it wasn't just, it was not at all his bowling. It was just that was what she was picking on. It was more about her and the transitions and the guilt and the conflict and the triggers and all those kinds of things. So I hope Brian and Yolanda's story and their success helps you understand a little bit more about what you need to do to understand what you're fighting about and how to make the repairs. All right. Take care. I'll talk to you later. If you'd like to learn more about how you can join me in my Reignite couples program and also have access to me outside of those sessions and things like that, just DM me and I'll be happy to chat. Bye.